The first one was The Messengers, the third in the Greystone Secrets trilogy by Margaret Patterson Haddix, and this was for author. Alright, my name is Kelsey, and we're about to get very, very nerdy with my February TBR. So we're here again for another month, another fun TBR dip in the basket of reads. Still obsessed with my new basket, even though it's been a whole month now, but I just can't get enough of it. So we have many things to dive into for February. I don't have a whole lot of like grand plans. There's not really any readathons or anything that I'm partaking in, but what I like to do in February is read as much romance as I possibly can. So we'll see how I do. I think there's a way to fit only romance in this month. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure if it's going to be exactly like that, but as far as the plans, it's going to be as much romance as possible in the month of February, which I've done in the past and I've just had a blast with. So that's what I'm always feeling. I'm always in the mood for romance. So we'll see if I can fit all the things I want to. Most likely not, because I have so many things I'd love to read. So let's just get started. Let's take a look at last month. So even though we are not doing any punishments or anything, it is still fun to take a look and see how I did last month. So here's a list of some of the books that we picked. The first one that we ended up picking last month was The Messengers. This is the third and final book in the Greystone Secrets trilogy by Margaret Patterson Haddix, and this was for author Random Letter. I believe we got P for her middle name. We had Buddy Read, which was what I picked for this was 10 Rules for Marrying a Duke by Melissa McLean. Then a book with a tagline, which was The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. A book you bought secondhand, I chose Midwinter Murder by Agatha Christie. Read a book with a light cover, we did the second volume of Stupid Love Comedy. A book set in or around water, we did The Kraken's Sacrifice by Katie Robert. A book with a foiled cover, I chose Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. You can kind of see it here, but it's not really showing well, but there's some foiling there. And your highest rated on Goodreads was the third volume of Spy Family. So as of recording this right now, these are the 3 books I haven't finished, but considering 2 of them are manga, and I'm recording this almost a week and a half before you guys are going to see it, not quite, but close, and almost a week and a half before the end of the month. So I'm not too worried. We've got 2 mangas to do, and then The Messengers, which I'm currently in the middle of, so I'll finish this in the next couple of days. So with that, I was able to read, or will read by the end of the month, all 8 books that I picked from my TBR, which means that I can choose one of the prompts from the basket today will be a free read if I choose. I don't have to, but if I choose to do so, I can make one of those a free read, and I'm very excited about that. So let's dive into the first pick. Pick number 1. Read a book from a favorite author. The first one is to read a book by one of your favorite authors. So for this one, I've chosen To Marry and to Meddle by Martha Waters. This is the third in the Regency Vows series. This is a marriage of convenience between a woman named Emily and this guy named Julian. So Julian it's a historical romance, if you couldn't tell by the cover. But Lady Emily basically really needs a suitable marriage. She's been on the market, let's say, for a while, and her father comes with debts, so no one really wants to marry her, and the one person that really wants to marry her is not someone that she particularly wants. And Julian is someone who owns a theater, and this theater is known for being like the theater that men would take their mistresses to and not their wives, and he wants to switch it up. He wants to have a more classic clientele, so he ends up marrying her. She'll help him kind of create this different reputation for his theater, and he will take care of the debts and kind of get her away from the guy that she doesn't like. And so we do have marriage of convenience for the 2 of them, but also, of course, there's going to be romance, and I love Martha Waters, and the fact that there is a new one coming out this year. I really want to read this one before we get to that one. Even though this is a companion series, I still really want to get to that one. So yeah, and I would consider Martha Waters one of my favorite authors. I just love the books that I read by her, and I can't wait to dive into this one. Also, this is on my list of books to read by the end of the year, which is very exciting. Pick number 2. Just decided to join. Read a book you don't know much about. Ooh, okay. The next one is to read a book you don't know a whole lot about. So for this one, I've chosen The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This is, I don't know a lot about, but it has like a STEM romance of sorts. I mean, we follow a PhD candidate, Olive, and there's a guy named Adam in here, and he's like a professor or a professor's assistant, I'm not sure. And they end up getting like in this fake dating situation. I don't really know what we're getting into with this one, but everyone seems to love this. It does have like, I've heard like if you like things like Star Wars, there's a lot of really fun hints and references within this book. So I really want to read this. I think it'll be a lot of fun, and I want to see if she's an author for me, and like maybe I'll start collecting some of the other books that are all maybe not within the same series, but all like STEM romances. So I think this one's going to be a lot of fun, but I really don't know a whole lot about what I'm getting into. I just kind of went with the hype for this book, so we'll see. Number 3. Read a book set in a warm place. The next is to read a book set in a warm place. So I'm going to go with The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Arms. And it says, pretending to be in love never felt better. I believe this is, a wedding in Spain, an infuriating man, 3 days to convince her family she's actually in love. It's like our main character, Catalina, is working in New York and has claimed that she's got an American boyfriend, and her family really wants to meet said boyfriend. And I think either he's made up or they broke up before her sister's wedding, and so now she needs a date to her sister's wedding. So this guy that she works with, who is infuriating, kind of comes along to be her +1. I guess it says here that her ex and his fiance are going, so she doesn't want to be alone. So she kind of has this, she kind of made up the American boyfriend so that she is kind of left alone by her family, I think is what it sounds like. But I've heard that if you like the hating game, this is kind of up your alley as well. So I'm excited about it, and because it's set in Spain, I feel like that's going to be, and it's in the summer, those both feel like it'll work for a warmer location. So we're going to give it a try. And I've had it on my list for a while, so I'm really excited about it. Number 4. Ooh, part of a series. The next one is to read a book that's part of a series. So I'm going to go with the second in the Guardians trilogy by Nora Roberts, The Bay of Sighs. So I read the first one, Stars of Fortune, last year and really loved it. It is a trilogy that follows 6 people, and they're searching for 3 stars, one of fire, one of water, and one of ice. And each book in this series follows a couple within that group. And it's basically these 6 strangers that just kind of team up to look for these stars. And they all have secrets that they haven't really divulged. So this one follows Annika and Sawyer. So I'm excited about this. It'll still follow the same 6 people. It's going to take place almost, I think, directly after the first one. It's just the focus is going to be different. And we really focused on 2 characters in the first one. And I'm excited to see these 2 because they are, the female in this romance is very interesting to me. I like her, the secret that she has intrigues me. So I think this one is, they're going to, based on everything inside, it's going to be the one where they searched for the water one. But I devoured the first one in like 2 days. So I'm excited to get into this one, and hopefully we can finish up this trilogy relatively quickly because I am very emotionally invested in it. Number 5. Ooh, there it goes.
Ooh, a subscription book box.
So the next one is to read a subscription book, which means just a book that I got in a subscription box. But I get a lot of Fairly boxes and not a lot of them have romances in them. I mean, they're fantasy romances, I'm sure, but not to the extent of what like I want. And there's one book that I really want to fit in this month. So I'm going to use this one as my free space and just kind of ignore the prompt because I'm going to read Mr. Perfect on Paper by Jean Meltzer. You probably haven't seen this yet because I picked this one up in January. This is the other book by Jean Meltzer that's currently out, and I read The Matzo Ball and fell head over heels, so I really want to get to this one before her new one comes out, which won't come out until like later this year, but I think that she's amazing, and I want to make sure that it wasn't like a one-off, like I'm going to enjoy this one as well. So this one is like a TV, it's not even like a TV show, but like it does involve TV and romance. So we have our main character, Dara, who is the CEO of a popular Jewish dating app, JMate. So she's a matchmaker, and she just has had the worst luck matching stuff for herself. She's got a list of like what makes the perfect Jewish husband. It's a doctor or a lawyer, is baggage free, and of course he must be Jewish. And so I don't know why, but her Bubba is on this talk show, or like is on television with this news anchor named Chris, and shares her list, and Chris is like, this is a great opportunity. I think he's been struggling with like maybe his ratings, and he's like, this is the perfect thing. So he teams up with Dara, and they're taking her list and doing like a TV, I don't know if it's like a segment or like they're creating a show, but basically like they're trying to find her the perfect husband. And so of course I think it's going to be the two of them that fall for each other instead. But what is interesting to me is, I'm not sure if it's represented within here, is that our author Jean, she is chronically ill and is Jewish herself. So in the Matzo Ball, both of those things were present. And in her most recent book, or in her upcoming book, both things are going to be present as well. So I'm wondering if maybe because it says here that there's definitely Jewish representation, but I'm wondering if there might be some chronic illness representation in here. I'm not sure, but I'm very excited nonetheless. So I am ignoring the prompt for this one and putting in Mr. Perfect on Paper because I'm just so excited. Like, I think it's going to be amazing. Number 6.
Read a book that came out this month.
The next one is to read a book that came out this month, meaning February 2023, and there's quite a few things that are coming out in February, but the one I'm going to choose is the only arc on NetGalley that I haven't read, that is still actively coming out. I don't know if that made any sense. Basically, I'm reading Artfully Yours by Joanna Lowell. This is an author that I love. I've read a few things by this author. She wrote The Runaway Duchess, and The Duke Undone, I believe. It's that series. And I really enjoyed that one. So this one is another historical romance, but it surrounds art thieving. So we follow our main character, Nina, and she was raised by her art forging brother, and she can paint like nobody's business. So she basically is the one who paints all of the art forgeries, and she has raised enough money because all she wants to do is open her own bakery. She's like, I don't even want to be part of this anymore. Art thieving is not for me, but she's been doing it because her brothers raised her. And so now she's at the point where she's got enough money to start up her own bakery. And so you've got her, and then you've got this guy named Alan D'Arth, and he is really good at telling when paintings are fake, and he knows that these paintings are fake. But he doesn't know that Nina is the one who does it. I think he suspects that maybe she is involved, or she knows who's involved, so she ends up being like hired in his household somehow. So I'm not sure what deal they strike in order for this to happen. Like, I don't know if they run across each other in the streets, or if it's like he knows that she's involved somehow but can't figure it out. So he doesn't know that she's the one who's done the painting. So he's trying to figure out who is doing it, and it's the two of them into their romance, and it just sounds like a lot of fun. But I do have the arc of this. It comes out on the 21st of February, so we'll see if I can get this done in time, fingers crossed. But this one is coming out this month, so that's what I'm going to choose. And maybe I'll actually listen, or maybe I'll actually read an arc when I should, because I am really bad at doing that.
Number 7. random recommended book.
The next one is to read a book that was recommended. So one of you lovely individuals out there recommended me this book, and I now have the entire series as a problem, and that's Jewels of the Sun. And this is another trilogy by Nora Roberts. This is book 1 of the Gallaghers and Ardmore trilogy. This is a modern trilogy, like it's set contemporarily, but it's set in like Ireland. And honestly, that's all I know about it, because like that's all I needed to know, because I am obsessed. So this series follows 3 brothers. This book specifically follows Aidan, and they run a local pub at the pretty seaside village of Ardmore. So we have him, and then our main female character, her name is Jude, and she flees America to take refuge in a little hillside cottage. She's obsessed with mythology, and she's really interested in figuring out mythology from Ireland. So he knows a lot about it, and so I think they strike up a relationship of sorts where he's ended up telling her a lot of the folklore and the myths surrounding Ireland, and especially the little spot where they are. And I think a relationship comes because of that. I don't know what's going to happen there, but like I said, mythology, Nora Roberts, Ireland. I'm sold. I'm sold. So thank you, lovely individual who recommended this to me. I have very specific reasons as to why I'm reading this, but it is so fun. It sounds so fun, and I'm just so excited. I've loved the other stuff by Nora Roberts, so why not? I can't wait to dive in.
And number 8. Read a fantasy.
So last one is to read a fantasy. So I'm going to read a fantasy romance, of course. And this one's actually one that I've had on Audible for so long. And that is The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle Jensen. This is the first, and I think, a duology. Although there's 3 books out, so I can't tell if it's like a trilogy or it's a duology and a start of another duology. I don't know what's happening there. I don't actually remember any of the character names, so I'll be much better when I talk about my thoughts on this, about what this book's actually about. But it's basically our female lead is forced to marry this guy from across the bridge, and they're thought of as being like the bad guy. So she is like sent over by her father to basically marry and then kill him. And then I think when she gets over there, what she thinks is real isn't real, or like what she thought is not nearly as bad. So like she sees the other side of the situation, and then of course I think there's going to be a relationship between the 2 of them. But I've heard great things. This has been circling online for quite a while, and like I said, I have the audiobook on Audible, and I've had it for a while, so I'm hoping this one's going to be really, really good. So we'll see, fingers crossed. And then a couple more books that I wasn't able to fit into the lists. My middle grade for the month is going to be Pet by Akwege Emezi. This one is actually a book that was gifted to me by Serena. It says Merry Christmas here, so I'm thinking that this was like last year, or like the year before. So I'm doing great. This follows our main character, Jam, who so here's the thing about this one. It sounds great. I've never read anything by Akwege Emezi, but I've heard people talk about the books that this author has written, and I don't know a daggum thing about it. This world has to do with monsters, and it's a world where like monsters no longer exist, but they do. So I don't really know what I'm getting into, but it's real short, and I've had it for quite a while. And like I said, I'm trying to prioritize gifted and books I got from subscription boxes this year, specifically gifted books. So I'm hoping this one will be great. I don't know what I'm getting into, because I feel like this author is really good at writing magical realism. So we'll see how I feel. But again, I've heard amazing things. So this is my middle grade, because I believe it's middle grade for the year. It says here, Pet is here to hunt a monster. Are you brave enough to look? I don't know. And then my nonfiction is a book that I found from the library, and it's called We Two, and it's by Gillian Gill. This is the story of Queen Victoria and Prince Albert. And I know some stuff about their love story. A lot of it comes from like fictional books or BBC like TV adaptions and stuff like that, where it's all fictionalized. So I don't know a lot of their story. So I am hoping that this one's going to be good. Again, it's just a book that I stumbled across in my library app. So I have the audiobook of it. So I think it's going to be great. And I felt like this was a good one because it's still about their love story. Because Victoria very, very much was in love with Albert. I think it was the other way around as well, but he passed way before her. So I've heard some stuff about Queen Victoria, and I would just like to know more, you know? So that's gonna be my nonfiction. And then as far as other plans, I mean, I've got other like buddy reads from Patreon that I'm hoping to get to, but we'll see. The other like buddy read that I have is The Hawk, and this is the second in the Highland Guard series by Monica McCarty. This is a series that I'm reading with my friend Taylor. We are hoping to get to every single one book in this series because there's 12 every single month this year. We read the first one in January, so I'm excited about this. This one follows a guy named Eric McSorley, who is really like, he is a seafarer. He's good at like being in a boat on the sea. And this, like I said, is a Highland Guard novel, which is basically a series of a bunch of these guards that are like these clansmen that basically come together to create this secret force. It says here, I feel like it's going to be easier for me to read that than tell you, is handpicked by Robert the Bruce to help him on his quest to free Scotland from English rule. The Highland Guard is an elite fighting force. But when Bruce is forced to flee, his bid for freedom rests on the shoulders of one extraordinary warrior, aka the Hawk. So they all have nicknames, so no one really knows unless you are married to someone in that's part of the Highland Guard, which at this point is literally one person, or are the prince and heavily involved and who like heavily know who's in it. No one knows the people's real names. They all go by the this. They're all like code names. So this one follows, like I said, Eric, and he's known as the Hawk. So I don't know what his skill particularly is. I think he's just really good at being like on the sea. So I pretty much enjoyed the first one. There's definitely some getting used to her style. So I'm excited to see where this one goes. I'm especially interested in this character because it's one that, like, obviously we've met all of the characters, I believe, in the first book, but now we're getting to see into them more. And so I'm interested to see how that goes. And also Scottish romance. That's all I need to know. So that is the buddy read, and then I think we might have a Tessa-Dare buddy read this month. It hasn't been like set in stone yet, so I didn't want to like mention a specific book because I'm not sure if that's going to happen yet. We'll get around to it, so we should get to one, which I'm excited about. So another romance on top of all the other ones, and then of course I've got more in the back of my head that I'd like to read, but that's my like set in stone plans for February. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know, as always, if you've read any of the books that I mentioned in today's video, or if there's a book that you were just so excited to read in February, please let me know. And if you want to comment something but you're not sure what to comment, comment a heart emoji. Pick whatever color you would like, whatever one. Just comment 1 or 10 or 5, you know, whatever. Choose the amount that you wish to comment. But I'd love to know that you guys are here watching. But if you like this video, and I very much hope that you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you'd like to be part of this awesome and growing family. I've also got all my social media down there, as well as other fun bookish links, so be sure to check all that out, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!